I remember standing by the window that morning, my hands resting on my swollen belly, gently feeling the baby kick inside. I was just past the 6-month mark in my pregnancy, tired most of the time, but still hopeful. My relationship with my parents had been rocky ever since I told them I was keeping the baby, but I never imagined they would do what they did next. When I heard the rumbling engine and peeked through the blinds, I saw the giant moving truck parked out front, its back wide, open like a mouth waiting to swallow my life whole. My mom stepped out, clipboard in hand, and my dad followed behind, looking strangely upbeat for someone about to change the course of my life without asking. I opened the door, puzzled, and before I could even say hello, she chirped, "Surprise! We're here to help you move to your new place." I blinked, unsure if I was hearing her right. I hadn't found a new place. I hadn't even looked. I had assumed, like any pregnant daughter would, that I could stay with them until I gave birth, maybe even a little after. "What new place?" I asked slowly. My mom smiled like she was announcing a birthday gift. "The studio. The one we signed the lease on last week. You're going to love it." My heart sank. They had leased a place for me without telling me. I hadn't agreed. I hadn't packed. I hadn't even seen it. I just stood there, confused, betrayed, and more alone than I had ever felt in my life. The day spiraled quickly from confusion into a nightmare. I watched them move through the house like cheerful intruders, boxing my things up with plastic bins they had brought themselves. My dad cheerfully announced, "We figured it's best to get it done before the baby comes. Less stress for everyone." Everyone. As if I were just an item on their to-do list they wanted to get rid of before the real responsibilities of grandparenting began. I didn't even know where to start protesting. My belongings were being handled without my consent. My mom walked past me holding my books, humming. I stood frozen, mentally scrambling for a way to make it stop. "Can we talk about this?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. My mom didn't even stop walking. "We already did, sweetheart. You just didn't want to listen." My dad laughed. "You said you needed space. Well, now you have your own space. A studio apartment." That was their idea of help. It wasn't enough that I was going through the pregnancy alone. Now they wanted to physically remove me from the only support system I thought I had left. I sat down heavily on the couch, trying not to cry. The baby fluttered in my stomach, as if sensing my distress. They didn't see it. They didn't ask if I was okay. They just kept packing. The rest of the day blurred together. I barely registered how they managed to carry out so much of my life and fit it into the back of that truck. It felt like I was watching someone else's life get dismantled. My mom did her usual thing where she masked cruelty with kindness, gently folding my baby clothes and saying, "This will fit perfectly in your new place." My dad installed a cheery tone in every sentence, but his eyes didn't meet mine much. Whenever I tried to bring up the unfairness, I was quickly shut down. "We're doing this for your own good. It's time you take responsibility. You're going to be a mom. You need your own place." I wanted to scream. I had never asked them to raise my child. I had never implied I'd freeload forever. I just wanted a little time, a little space. But it was clear they had made a decision long before today. Maybe even before I got pregnant. Maybe they had just been waiting for the moment they could justify removing me. That night, as I sat in the backseat of their car headed to this unknown studio, I felt like I was being exiled. Not helped, not supported, not even spoken to like an adult. Just moved like an inconvenience. I didn't cry. I stared out the window and imagined what my life might look like in that place. And for the first time, I realized I couldn't go back to who I was before this. I had to become someone stronger. The studio was tiny, That's the first word that came to mind when they opened the door and led me in like proud real estate agents. A single room with a kitchenette, a narrow bathroom, and a window that barely let in any light. There was a mattress on the floor, not a bed, just a mattress. My mom clapped her hands like it was a grand reveal. Isn't it cute? Everything you need in one place. I looked around and swallowed my disappointment. There was no space. For a crib, no room to breathe, no warmth. It was just shelter, not a home. My dad wheeled in the final bin and said, "We'll give you some time to settle in. You're gonna love the independence." Independence. They really believed this was empowering, or at least that's what they told themselves to avoid guilt. I watched them drive off from the window, their smiles fading as they turned the corner, and left me behind. I sat down on the mattress and stared at the peeling paint above me. My back ached. My heart ached. I was a pregnant woman abandoned under the guise of empowerment. I felt the baby kick again, and I whispered, "It's just you and me now." I didn't know how I'd make it work, but I knew I had to, because the people who were supposed to catch me when I fell had instead thrown me off the ledge and called it love. Over the next few weeks, I learned things the hard way. Grocery shopping while heavily pregnant in summer heat. Carrying laundry up and down 3 flights of stairs. Budgeting every dollar because the studio wasn't cheap and I still had medical bills to pay. I tried calling my parents a few times for advice, for comfort, for anything. They answered with the same chirpy detachment they'd shown that day. "How's the new place? Getting used to your freedom?" There was never a moment of apology, not even acknowledgement of how hard it was. They had checked me off their list, and that was that. At night, I'd lie on the mattress and talk to my unborn child. I'd tell them about the world, about mistakes and choices, about how sometimes even family will fail you. I promised myself I'd be a better mother, that I would never, ever make my child feel like a burden. And in the quiet moments between fear and exhaustion, I began to see something else grow, strength. I started applying for remote work. I found a free birthing class at a community center. I met a kind neighbor who brought me groceries once when I collapsed in the stairwell. I was surviving. Slowly, painfully, but still standing. One afternoon, about a month before my due date, I got a call from my mom. Her voice was nervous. "We were wondering if you'd like to come by for dinner this weekend." I hesitated. "Why?" She was quiet for a second. "We just miss you." I almost laughed. "Miss me? Like I'd just gone on vacation?" I agreed anyway, more out of curiosity than hope. When I arrived at their house, my former home, I noticed everything was exactly the same, except the room I used to stay in had been turned into a storage space. No crib, no welcome sign, no indication a pregnant daughter had ever lived there. Dinner was awkward. They asked questions about the pregnancy like polite strangers. My dad joked about how I'd toughened up. I wanted to scream again, but I didn't. I realized something that night. I had changed. I wasn't the scared girl begging them to let me stay anymore. I was a mother in the making who had walked through fire and come out harder. They hadn't broken me. They had forced me to rebuild, and I wasn't going to let them rewrite what they did as love. After the baby was born, a girl, beautiful and healthy, I sent them a picture, no caption. Just her face, sleeping peacefully on my chest. They didn't come to the hospital, didn't call. But 2 days later, flowers arrived at my door. "Congratulations, she's perfect." That was it, no apology. No visit. Just a card with flowers like we were business acquaintances. I stared at the bouquet for a long time before placing it in the trash. My daughter would grow up knowing love, real love, not conditional support that came with silent contracts and fake smiles. I started journaling every night, documenting every small win. first diaper change, first bath, first laugh. And in those pages, I wrote a promise to my daughter. I will never move you out of my life when you need me the most. I will never disguise abandonment as help. And I will always choose love over control. Now, looking back, I see it clearly. They didn't help me. They protected their comfort. My pregnancy disrupted their image, their routine, their version of family. So they boxed me up and moved me out like unwanted furniture. But in doing so, they gave me the greatest gift without knowing it: independence forged in fire. My daughter is 6 months old now. She giggles when I sing. She holds my finger, tight when she sleeps. I've built a home, not just a space, but a world full of warmth and truth. One day, when she's old enough to ask why we don't visit Grandma and Grandpa much, I'll tell her the story. I'll tell her that sometimes the people who should hold you up will instead push you away. But you can still rise. You can still build something beautiful. Because real love isn't found in moving trucks or studio apartments. It's found in staying and showing up, in choosing someone even when it's inconvenient. And I'll end that story with a kiss on her forehead and a whisper in her ear. They called it help, but they were really just afraid. And we're not afraid anymore.